What's up, peeps? Thought I'd make one more video before I go away for a couple of weeks. So Lucy and I are shooting off to the beautiful Maldives for our honeymoon next week, and I'll be basically offline until then. So please get in touch with Mike at brojo.org if you've got any urgent issues and you can't wait for me, or if you need to talk to Mike. That's obviously the first port of call. But I'll be back around the 24th. Today, I just wanted to bring up kind of brainstorm an issue that I haven't thought through very much, but something I've noticed and wanted to run past you guys, get your feedback on. Concept of the inner critic and the outer critic. Now, before someone crosses into the threshold of confidence and before someone becomes self-confident, in my view, they're usually one of these two things. Now, an inner critic is somebody who blames themselves for their problems in life, for their suffering. They internalize their suffering. And it usually, I think, starts in childhood. I see this with my clients. Most of my clients are inner critics. You know, they'll say that people don't like me because I'm a loser. Or, you know, when they're a child, they say, you know, my parents were mean to me because I wasn't a good kid, and so on. So anybody else's behavior that's bad, they say I'm somehow the cause of that badness, or at least it's somehow my fault that these bad things happen to me, something wrong with me. That's an inner critic. An outer critic is somebody who essentially blames the external world for their suffering. You know, they're the ones that use words like unfair and I deserve better. You know, these are kind of people like, if someone is lonely, they say it's because the world is like stacked against them. There's nothing wrong with them. They're a catch, but that's not being recognized by the outer world because some sort of unfair process is taking place. And so essentially you get this kind of locus of blame. Is the locus of blame internal or external? And everybody's probably a bit of both, but I find that the people I work with are strongly one or the other. And the reason I bring this up is because I see a pattern. The people who do the best in self-development, before they move away from the blame model into a responsibility model, start off as internal critics, inner critics. So people are hard on themselves and see themselves as the cause of all their suffering and see themselves as the one having the problem, they're actually only a very small step away from a shift into responsibility and confidence. If they can stop saying, what is wrong with me, and start saying, what am I going to do about it, it's a quick step into confidence. You know, you're like right there, you're like right on the threshold. You know, you're beating yourself up, which is pointless, and nobody wins from that. There's no gain in it, and it's, you know, it's irrational to say there's something wrong with me, but it's completely rational to say it's my job to take care of business. It's my job to make my life good. And so someone who blames themselves, you know, the focus is already internal, and if they just switch that to responsibility, boom, confidence will then unfold. But very few of my clients, if any, are outer critics. This type of person I find is very unlikely to get coaching or mentoring or support. They might consume a lot of self-development materials. We've got more than a few outer critics in the Brojo community, but they don't invest in much. And when things don't work out, they blame the things, you know. And you can see this kind of throughout their whole life, every area of life. If their job sucks, it's because their boss is a dick. It's not because they chose to work there. You know, if their health and fitness isn't good, it's because they've got bad genetics that their parents gave them, or it's because their fitness coach wasn't up to scratch, or it's because they don't have enough money to buy the nutritious food they need. There's always this external reason why things aren't working out for them. You can see this in men going their own way. You can see this in a lot of red pill and stuff, the guys who blame women for their loneliness rather than going, hey, there's something I'm doing that affects my ability to connect with women. They say women are bitches, women are unfair, the other guys are stealing them all, society is stacked against me. The reason I bring this up is I guess in the hope. Well, I think what I see is there must be a process where you go from outer critic to inner critic. It's not really a step up in terms of quality of life, but it is a step towards confidence building. Because if you're an outer critic, if your general inner narrative is, I'm good, and the rest of the world needs to recognize that, and the rest of the world is unfair, you've got like no chance of improving. Really, you've got none. How can you? Because you're waiting for the rest of the world to change. If you can't recognize that your problems are your own, that you are your own worst enemy, that any suffering you're experiencing is either because of your decisions or your philosophy or both, then you've got no hope, because those are the only things you can change. When somebody says, I'm hurting and it's because of something other than me, well, then you're already saying, I can't do anything about it. And you won't. You won't do anything about it. You'll continue to blame and complain and point the finger. Now, the internal critic also suffers. They point the finger at themselves. They don't have much of a better time with that. They say, I'm a loser and I'm pathetic and I fail all the time and so on. And that's not much of a better way to live, but it is so much easier to transition from that to confidence than it is from external blame. I'm not going anywhere in particular with this. I wanted to run it past you guys, hear your feedback. Which one do you think you are? Do you think that you're generally good enough as you are and the world needs to be fairer on you? Or do you think that your suffering is a direct cause of your own faults and failures? I've got to emphasize neither of these is how a confident person views themselves. But a confident person's view is much more aligned with the inner critic than with the outer critic. The confident person, you can see this in every major philosophy in the world. The confident person doesn't go, there's something wrong with the world and the world needs to change. They go, if anything needs to change, it starts right here or right here. That's the only place that can change. In fact, the whole world can stay the same. It can stay exactly as it is. Ultimately, the most confident and philosophical person could be in a prison cell, surrounded by the worst people on the planet and still make that a good life. They don't need anything from the external world, this sort of purely confident, ideal person. Whereas, somebody who's an outer critic, you could give them everything they've ever wanted and all they're going to do is pick faults with it. They're always going to focus on what could be better, what should be better, what they deserve more of, what they're entitled to. And because of that, they're never satisfied, I say there's been a few guys I've noticed in Brojo. I've got to call it out. I won't say any names, but I see them as their outer critics. They have suffering in their life, but it's always because of their family or because of their financial situation or because of the country they live in or because of the way they were treated by others. I was like, no, that's not why you hurt. Everybody's got that story. Everybody's got the thing that happened to them story. Everybody's got trauma and suffering and pain and unfairness. Ironically and weirdly, the people who say it's all my fault that this is happening actually have a better shot at confidence than the people who say I'm all good the way I am, the rest of the world needs to change. Just some thoughts. Keen to hear your feedback. Disagree with me if you want, of course. I probably won't be around to hear it anyway, but I look forward to reading your comments and stuff when I get back. And I'll see you guys all then. Cheers.